170 bikers are now facing charges for their role in that shootout and brawl that killed 9 people and injured a whole bunch more in Waco, Texas. And I can't make up these names. The Cossacks and the Banditos. They had a massive melee last weekend at a restaurant called Twin Peaks. The crowd of suspects was so big, authorities opened a convention center to hold them all before they were arrested. So I got just a practical question. How can prosecutors physically deal with all these cases? How do you distinguish who is the aggressor and who is defending himself? They're all armed. They're all going into this. I doubt bikers are going to be big, participatory witnesses really working with the authorities here. And how did they all get $1 million bail? I can't think they're all equally culpable. I'll start with you on this one, Mayo. I mean, I heard some people say, other prosecutors, I'm glad I'm not handling that case. This is like migraine defined, right?
They all get $1 million bail because it's a highly publicized case. And that's going to be basically the primary consideration. And again, some of those people probably had very little or nothing to do with it. I think you're right. You're going to have a difficult time finding witnesses who are going to come forward, and maybe there's some video, but you have to bring the case. But I think it's irresponsible to arrest everybody who's there. You have to try to determine at least who, if anyone's involved. You don't just arrest every single person in there.
But you put yourself in their shoes now. How do you know who does what at this point? You just see literally a massive melee with guys, with cuts in the back. Obviously, whichever motorcycle club that they were in, chains and guns and knives. And
if I'm representing somebody there and they have $1 million bail, I'm going to immediately appeal that bail. I'm going to say, listen, prove what my client did, not what anybody else there did. Mm-hmm. This guy rides motorcycles with other people. That doesn't mean he knew something was going to happen here. That's it. It's no different than if they're...
I think there's a reasonable expectation if you go up for a gang meet here. I'm sorry, a club meet, Jimmy. This has a little bit of the RICO overtures of trying to break up the mobs, right?
Well, it does. What they're going to do is they're going to charge some form of a gang assault where basically the participation in the rival gang affair...
And they are facing organized crime charges as well. Yep.
Exactly. How you deal with it, though, I mean, you're going to have them all in separate facilities because you have to separate the rival factions. What I would assume is that they're going to take the entire cluster of them and they're going to segregate them into separate cases. They're going to sever cases. They're going to try to bunch certain people together where the prosecution makes sense. And then they're just going to stagger it in terms of dates. What Mayo said is right. All of them are going to appeal their bail as the discovery comes in. And I think what will happen is many of them should get out, and many of them will be weeded out as the prosecution investigates. Those who are minimally involved or not involved, they'll get out and they'll get weeded out. In 6 to 8 months, you're going to have from 170, you're going to have a core 30 or 40 defendant case.
But Jim, you shouldn't charge everybody and then investigate it. You investigate it first, and when you investigate it, if you find people weren't involved, they're not involved. They're not part of a gang assault if they're just sitting there eating.
Oh, I'm just saying that's the way they're going to approach it.
Absolutely.
Now that they've done it.
You're right.
Rich, also bail, people don't realize, sometimes people think bail it's higher because it's worse and we're more angry at the defendant. Bail is to secure the person to coming back to court. These people are bikers. So the fact that they're bikers, they ride around in bikes, they probably don't have homes that they're at all the time. That's a reason to set high bail. Mm-hmm. Because if they get out, a lot of these people, you probably won't see them again, especially in that jurisdiction.
But $1 million is tantamount to a remand for, 96% of everybody in the country. Bail is supposed to be commensurate with a person's ability. So what is $1 million bail to you, Rich, which is nothing, to a guy like me. You know what I'm saying. So $1 million bail probably doesn't even take into consideration what assets, if any, these guys have.
And that's only twice the bail that the protesters in Baltimore had.
Is that true?
I knew he was going to bring back there. Somebody, good old man.
You knew he'd come around.
You think at the end of the day, people are going to actually get convicted for murder here? I mean, 9 people died. Are we going to get murder convictions for this? Or, I mean, I don't even understand. Assuming guys, you would think, if the gang, they're not going to rat on the other members of their own gang, okay? And for the other group as well. That, it's the classic he said maybe, no?
Rich, people don't realize that with street crimes, identification is usually the biggest issue. And here you have these guys, 170 of them, that look exactly alike. And even if you get
Right.
people that cooperate and say it was him,
It was the big hairy guy with the beard. Be like, all right, that narrows it down to 64 of them. Yeah.
His credibility for why he's saying it is in question, and also his identification of the guy is going to be in question. This is probably the most difficult ID case I've ever seen.
Although there's probably video. You're in this restaurant. I'm sure that in today's
Well,
age,
if you
got
know
video
about the
to show you.
restaurant Twin Peaks, it didn't get its name because they were big Lynch fans from the movie. You can probably gather where they were going. I don't think cameras were encouraged in this facility. Yes, Doug will look it up.
So
Okay.
they're going to get punished by being incarcerated pending
I
trial?
have to, on this note, before I get in any more trouble, I'm going to get to a break here. Gentlemen, thank you all, as always, every Wednesday. All right, well, when I come back, I'll have some headlines for you from the Valley. Stay with us.